Hello, Facebook and YouTube and my personal page and wherever you're seeing this. And if you got this video in your group and you're not part of Ontario Landlords Watch, hello to you guys as well. So this is my second time coming live this week. We just had Mackenzie Wilson on last night from Alberta talking about how easy it feels like it is in Alberta to be a landlord. And we get so jealous, so jealous of how they can deal with disputes between their landlord and their tenants up there. So we're going to have Mackenzie and his partner Chris back on in the next coming weeks so we can ask more questions, because I'm just fascinated with how Alberta is. But right now we're back in Ontario, guys, and we have an amazing landlord here, Kathleen Anderson, and I can't thank her enough for taking the time to share her story. And tonight is about a landlord talking about her story, about her issues, and what really ticks her off, you know, trying to be a good landlord and a good citizen and trying to help out good tenants or a tenant in that matter, and really getting bit in the butt. But before we talk about her situation, I want to just get to know Kathleen and see who she is. And Kathleen, thank you so much. How are you? Gotta love Thursday. I got a birthday party going on downstairs that I just decided to host in the last 12 hours. So I make sure that we could try to not stay on too long tonight. So hopefully everyone's on, getting your comments, your questions, and sharing our video as far as you can go, because this one's a big one tonight. So Kathleen, who are you? So where are you from? How many units do you technically manage or own? Give us a little bit of who Kathleen is.
So I'm located in Strathroy, which is a very small little community between Sarnia and London. And I have a portfolio of 13 buildings between houses, commercial, multi-residential, and consisting of 25 individual rental units. And I've been very fortunate in my life, and I've done very well. And I guess I'm on the 10-year and out plan, and I feel like I'm ready. It's going to take me 10 years, and I'm looking forward to it.
You're not the only one lately. I think a lot of landlords, like we would call this a mass exodus, but I was like, well, that's when everyone leaves at the same time. I'm like, well, because capital gains, that's the reason why we're all not left at the same time, and what kind of buildings are coming up. But I'm getting the feeling now, because I know with, you know, what was your best part about being what's the best part of being a landlord for you? It's like the income, it's the freedom, you know, retiring early.
I've always felt that owning bricks and mortar is a very safe place to put your money. And it also allowed me to build equity as well as work full time at another job. So it made sense as a busy mom with kids to be able to manage these properties and as well work. And so, you know, as you reappraise your buildings and you see the mortgage equity increase, and you know, your accountant gives you your spreadsheet at the end of the year, and you think, well, like, you know, this was a wise thing to do, and it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now,
most of the time.
Now, with us being landlords, like obviously it's for the sake that we're trying to build that financial freedom so that we're not, you know, depending on the government to give us our CPP, because God knows how limited that is, and if it's
exactly
going to be around for everybody. So it's really good that's why we get into investment. It's not like that get rich quick. It's more of a long-term plan. It's a long-term retirement plan. And I'm glad that, you know, you had the opportunity to do it. I had the opportunity, and many others that we hope still have the opportunity. It all depends on what area they're in. And we hope that this can still be a really good investment, as long as we can get the government to like stop strangling us as investors in Ontario. And I'm glad that we were able to connect, because when did you meet? When did we find each other? When did you find out about Ontario Landlords? What I love.
So at the very beginning of the pandemic, for some reason, I saw something about you on a radio show or a talk show, and your words just spoke to me. And I was like, wow, this woman, she gets it. Like, she's actually speaking. And so I found you on Facebook. And I was quiet for a little while as I was sort of gauging myself as to whether this was something I wanted to jump in with and get involved with. But when I heard all the work that you do for us landlords and all the bills that you were lobbying against, like, it just made sense. And it gave me a sense of comfort knowing that there actually is someone out there that cares about the landlord. It felt awesome.
Seriously, you're gonna get me crying out. And you know what? I've created some little monsters with me throughout the 10 years of me advocating. I got those 10 little monsters. We have Tony in Ottawa. We even have Maria. We got Rosemary. We have Darlene and Booba. Like the little minions that we're making now to fight for landlords, we're becoming a force not to be reckoned with. But the best part now is that we're able to now be united, and we're also be able to communicate with each other through that platform of Landlord Credit Bureau. So I'm excited to always tell as many people as I possibly can about Landlord Credit Bureau. Make sure that they sign up with it, because we can't just keep looking at the government for our hope and our prayer that they're going to do everything that we need to fix our problems. So use that to protect yourself right now until we can continue to keep advocating at a provincial, municipal level, as well as really hammer home to the Residential and Tenancy Act and speaking to their board and the chair and letting them know what you're doing, your process in itself. Even though the RTA is crap, what you're doing is even worse than what the RTA is. So it's great to know that after 10 years, over the year, 2 years, we now have that ongoing communication. We're a part of that stakeholders meeting. They always give us updates. They had so many updates thrown at us that we thought it was like more than COVID updates. You know, it was like, nice, like what's going on here? But it's because we are filing our complaint with the Ontario Ombudsman guy. If you are going through this eviction process and it's very slow and you are being delayed justice, make sure that you are communicating with the Ontario Ombudsman and filing your complaint. I know they can't do too much, but they are speaking with Karen, who is the chair of the Landlord and Tenant Board. So make sure that you contact them. Now, we had a nice chat with our regional councillor in Cambridge, Waterloo, Helen Jowett, and I also spoke with Nicholas Armetta. He's a city councillor. So like I said, we advocate as many levels as we possibly can, because we need all levels of government to fix this problem with stakeholders. And luckily, Helen's agreed to come on and do a Facebook Live with me. So I'm excited to have her on. And she's putting a team together with the planning, development, and the housing committee. So we're going to be explaining to them how their own government housing is not up to par. We want to show them the inefficiencies within their own government housing, but most importantly, we're going to be discussing how their government programs that are supposed to increase the supply of landlords working with these type of agencies in order to help deal with the housing crisis. And I know some of these programs that people are hearing, you think it's great. We have, guaranteed rent, the damages are going to be covered. We're going to have support. We're going to have a mediator. We're going to be there every step of the way. And if any communication breaks down, you know what, we can also relocate them. And I'm like, really? That's exciting. Like, let's keep talking. And then they would say, well, sometimes you have a program where the lease is in the tenant's name. Now they have this new program where the lease is in the city's name. So you want to look at that one thinking, wow, I can definitely get my rent, I can get my damages. But, what if you have a tenant that is causing havoc and ruining it for other tenants that are at the property and now they're gone, right? So we're like, is this your solution? And how are those agencies speaking with our elected officials, How are things going? Are people really engaged, and are you creating more available units to people who are in need of government housing and obviously not being able to get it because there's such an oversupply of people waiting years to be accepted into government housing because they can't build it, manage it, subsidize it, and maintain it fast enough. Now,
Correct.
These people have reached out to you, haven't they, Kathleen?
Yeah, they have.
Lori, when they called you, did they call you, email you, send you a letter? Tell us about this program that they got you on.
So for me, it was CMHA, the Canadian Mental Health Association here in our little community. And they searched me out, understood that I had some affordable housing units in one of my older buildings. And they came to me and said that these individuals were a part of their program, that they were turning a new leaf. They were giving up their drug addictions. They were going back to school. They were going to go to work. They were being supported. They were part of the program, and that the CMHA would give them some financial stability as well as support. And unfortunately for me, at the beginning, it seemed like a good idea, because I thought, oh, finally, like, I'm going to have some help when there are issues that arise with tenants. There's going to be someone I can contact and troubleshoot and try to assist and guide and help. I mean, my intention is not to throw people out, but my intention also is that everyone should have a clean, safe, healthy place to live. And so, you know, I'm all about providing that. And that was just a leading of down the garden path of darkness. This was not.
I know. And you know what? So many people, you're going to warn so many people right now. And that's not our intent to do this tonight, of scaring anyone from wanting to help the community and sign up on these programs. This just means that our elected officials need to sit with us. We need to educate them on what's happening in their own government housing. We need to educate them on why these programs are not working and why landlords are not signing up on these type of programs. But once you got into this program, how many people did you accept into this program, into your units?
So I had 3 individual units with in a 7-unit building, and 2 were single women and 1 was a couple. And right from the beginning, it just became really just too much to manage. It wasn't just, you know, domestic boyfriends, which clearly the leases were based on a single occupancy with utilities included, because that was our agreed upon tenancy. It became like boyfriends and numerous guests, and it became like,
how many guests are we talking about? You mentioned before we jumped on live that you had like multiple people just even.
Just there's like for $10 you can come and sleep on my floor and shower and go to work, and don't worry about it because the rent is covered by CMHA. And they barely come to visit. When they come, they bring a couple of bags of groceries. They ask me if I'm okay, and if I don't need any assistance, then I'm good. I don't have to deal with them.
Now, some of these tenants you mentioned, like they're also a hoarder. Like, did you have any good tenants, like current tenants that you placed in, or did they leave because of these tenants that you had?
So the couple was evicted. They had deliberately set fire to the building because one of their guests wanted the girlfriend to come outside. They were having a dispute and she didn't want to leave. So he decided to take some black garden piping from the side of the building and set the building on fire. Thankfully, the police and the neighbors were there and they put the fire out. These individuals were ripping out the smoke detectors out of the building and damaging the fire separation between the units. When I finally got them evicted, and my husband and I went in to clean out the apartment, when I pulled the fridge out, there was so much food shoved in the fridge, but it was crawling with maggots. I've never seen anything like it in all my 15 years of being a landlord. And the ceramic glass top stove was completely smashed. The toilet was painted blue. Like, I don't know where in your day you say to yourself, oh, I'm just going to paint the toilet blue, because it just looks so much nicer blue.
What color were the walls?
I don't know. Benjamin Moore Revere Pewter HC 172 or something. I don't know. But yeah, like these individuals would go in the evenings and take all the contents out of the Goodwill boxes, drag it all back to the apartment, take out what they wanted, and then leave the garbage bags out on their deck. Which, when the town saw the amount of garbage piled up on their deck, they go in, they clean it all up, and then they give the bill to the property manager by attaching it to your tax bill.
You know what? We're hearing the same thing. Like, even if you have a broken down car and it has no license plates, they will come and they will remove a bit and they will put it onto your tax bill. Like, this is like, how come we can't hold our tenants accountable for their own actions? Even for a friend of mine who has tenants keeps having fires into the backyard, and the police department are always there. But it's like, why can't you fine these tenants for having fires?
Well, even if you do fine them, though, they don't pay their fines. That's just it. Like, the police, I feel, are probably the only resource, and the fire chief, that I've had at my disposal. And there's only so much they can do. And I think the breakdown is that the tenants actually have zero accountability. So, CMHA keeps paying. And they're funded by the government, I assume, because I don't think it's by independent taxpayers, but
they'll probably receive donations too. We just got a call from a mental health association, and I wanted to find out like where their money was going for the donations. And they talk about a portion to go to operating, obviously, the organization. The other side of it was through therapy, as well as cooking lessons and more of those self-taught lessons so that they can take care of themselves. And it's like,
oh, let's not forget the lunch program.
Oh, and the lunch program.
And the lunch program.
Like, not housing, you don't help with the housing or anything like that. No, just like the Ford government ignoring landlords. This is the concept where this is their solution, though. They think that these programs that these agencies run, and when the agencies speak to the elected officials, they act like everything is good. Lots of landlords are trying to sign up with them, but they don't see the pain that the landlords are going through, where they now want to sell their property just to get rid of the tenant. Because it's like with all these programs, it comes in where they come with problems. You are going to address those problems as much as you can. When you can't, you go to their worker. The worker's not going to do anything. So you go to the eviction process, and right before you can actually get rid of them, then this organization comes to the rescue and cleans everything up where you're compliant to what you ask of them, right?
Exactly.
So it's more of a, I don't know what you guys are doing there. Why are we having to do this wash and repeat situation?
Yeah, I truly feel like they're really not providing the proper support that these individuals need. When, as a housing provider, if I say to the support worker, look at, like, there's more here than just, an issue at the table, when it's more than just that, and it's not addressed at all, they're not helping their future CMHA clients who are going to actually need a place, because who's going to want to take this on? Like, they're sort of eliminating all of their available resources, and then if you are fortunate enough to get them out, where do they go after that?
Yeah, they have another landlord who thought the same thing. I want to help out. I want to give someone a second chance. I've been fortunate with my life, and that's usually the type of people that these agencies will try to. Now, I look at the concept where they have hired people to call landlords like yourself through. If they see something affordable, they will call you. So they pay someone to call. They also do mail outs. So the cost of mail outs in itself to appeal. So if you ever had a tenant that fell in the arrears, they got a bailout, then they now have the landlord's information, so they reach out to you that way, and then they give you this hope and this pre idea that things are going to work out. And even for when you have the concept of having a lease now with the city's name on it, what are the chances of us evicting someone based on the city being the name on that lease? They're going to be able to fight you with your own money, but they had a dispute department that's going to help. So if you had a lease agreement with the city, and you had a dispute of a non-payment, probably not non-payment, but more of an N5, N7 situation, you're going to see a dispute being handled between the landlord, the tenant, and the city. And if the tenant still does not satisfy with the dispute, the tenant can still apply to the landlord and tenant board underneath if the act applies. So it's still going to delay the process of an eviction, even if the city is telling you that if you're signing up with the city, it's not underneath the RTA. But in reality, in the fine print, it says they can indeed apply to the landlord and tenant board to see if the act applies, which is, again, everyone knows, they stay in the unit until they get a hearing. So I don't see how they feel that this is a good solution into their housing. Now, where would you like to see people in this type of program go versus getting into property management units or privately owned rental units?
I actually think that CMHA should buy their own properties and create an environment where the support worker doesn't just run up to the door with 2 bags of groceries and asks you if you're okay today, but actually provides more of a common area within this building to have support groups, therapy, maybe give them the cooking classes there so that they can learn proper behaviors and proper social democracy about, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and actually almost teach them how to be adults. And I think that's what they're lacking. There's just no accountability. They really don't know how to address themselves in a normal environment. So and by throwing them into all these different units throughout the community, they're really not providing them any resources at all, because they're all locked into their apartments with all of their guests, and then nobody's really doing anything or learning anything, or it's almost like having a bunch of teenagers again. Like if you don't make your bed and you don't come home at a decent hour and you're past curfew, then you get grounded. But it's not the case. They're not really learning anything.
I think that's a lot where, like, I want to know, how do you get put on, into this organization, into this agency? What categorizes you for mental health, and then, you're going now into a private atmosphere, because I know they're struggling with people who are in the local shelters. And because of COVID, they're not even keeping them at the local shelters. They're actually putting them in motels, and taxpayers are paying $3,000 a month to house people in hotels.
They're not teaching them how to take care of themselves. They don't know how to be adults.
And you have people who are willing to be inside with walls. Sometimes they feel more comfortable on the streets. And the one thing that I know that I talked to my counselor with is that when you're on the streets, you make friends on the street, that's your family. And when you now finally get yourself a unit, you feel that you need to help that in particular person and allow them to come stay with you because they helped you when you needed that the most as well. So I get that concept, but I like your idea, that they could create their own, it has that sense of community, that wraparound services where, it's almost like clockwork, almost like school. Here we got some cooking lessons, we got some therapy happening on. Does anyone need anything at the drugstore? Because landlords, we're not equipped as much as we want to be, and we want to help. A lot of people are struggling with trying to help their tenants who are dealing with mental health or addiction issues. But if we had the overall government take on that part of it, and the private landlords can help people who just need a real rent subsidy. That's what we talk about. Where, the people who are living in government housing, as many of us probably know, that tenants are abusing that system as well. There's lots of people who are couples who are living together with children, and, they only, it's supposed to be a mom and 2 kids in there, but they got the whole family there and making great money. I've told my counselor, I said, drive by government housing. Do you see how nice those, they got nicer cars than me. I'm like, we got to look at that. I said, do these people need to be out of government housing into the private market with a little bit of rent subsidy, or and leave their unit for someone who is getting denied over and over and over again? Because I would love to see my taxpayer money being spent to help people with mental health and addiction, people who are really suffering from that, not using it as an excuse. And I want them to be taught the proper things of how to do that. Now, when you got in, what's your most painful process of dealing with tenants from this type of agency?
I would say that it's as simple as them not even understanding personal hygiene. Like, they don't understand how throwing stuff in the garbage bin or not throwing it in the garbage bin affects their, the environment in which, the community has to look at it. Someone has to go along and clean up after them. They don't understand how to use a laundry room. They don't, there's no, they clearly just don't know how to adult, and they don't understand the systems. And which I find is really sad is the support workers clearly are working adults with jobs and families, and they understand what normal expectations are in society. Mm-hmm. And it would be easy enough to sort of set that up as a parameter, or, a guideline and some goals for everyone to reach on a personal level to improve their lives. And yet they're not getting that. And that's really hard, because I'm a housing provider and I can't be their mom. Mm-hmm. It's not my job to give you a lesson on how, you need to, don't smoke in the unit because it's bad for your health, or your air conditioner is so rusty and full of mold, you shouldn't have it running.
Is that what you come in and say you're grounded? I'm taking away your phone. Your phone's not allowed to come in. And you will be in at 8:00 if you don't know how to act outside. If we could do that, sure, I'll tell you to come in. But again, I have a 16-year-old. I know it's not even easy at that times, but you know what I can do? I can take away her phone, and the boyfriend ain't coming over either. But that's what we can do completely. Now, if you had a yay or a nay, so if we were going to say, would you want any landlord in Ontario to sign up with our program that is government ran or funded? Would you suggest the landlord would or wouldn't? Because from the sounds of it, I'm going to say you would probably tell them to run and stay away from a 10-foot pole.
No, it's too big for anyone to manage. And I only have 3 units out of 25, and it's a full-time job for me. There are some weeks where I'm at the building attending to calls with Strathroy Caradoc Police or the fire chief, and I'm attending clearly to get incident numbers and to get the background on what's going on the behaviors or the guests. And it's too much. It's not my job. Like, I'm supposed to provide a clean, safe environment for people to live in. And I'm attending to calls.
We as landlords, we like what you're feeling now. Sometimes the landlords are feeling that just when we have to file paperwork. I can only imagine what you're dealing with as you have to go to these properties to deal with this. One, you have maintenance calls, but when you're being called out for things because the tenants are not able to appreciate what they have and respect what they have. And a sad part of us is that it keeps getting a blind eye to it. You know, a lot of these elected officials really don't care about what's happening to the private investors. They don't care that there's a lot of rent theft that's going on. They don't care that these units are getting damaged and, put a small claims court on top of the tenant that obviously is not ever going to pay. You know, where is the responsibility that's going to come in and the consequences to let people know you can't be doing this. This is why I really encourage the police to get more involved instead of calling it a landlord and tenant dispute, right? They just say, oh, it's a landlord and tenant dispute. We actually have our own little code on their radio. It's like, wow, we even got our own code. Like that's awesome. Not even a dispute. We have our own landlord and tenant dispute code, which is probably happening a lot more now with the backlog that's happening. I know that in Newfoundland, the landlord decided to take a backhoe to his house because of his tenants. Yeah, check it out on Canada Landlords Watch, the Newfoundland. He said that he was doing some repair work. I believe him. He was doing some repair work. And I think he accidentally hit the house and took out the window. But yeah,
no, that's a good idea.
If there was a reality TV show, I don't care who you are, who you're listening to right now. If you have any way of getting us an Ontario reality TV show on being a landlord or being for evictions like the UK, we got stories, man. Like, please hit us up there.
For sure.
Now, Kathleen, I didn't want to keep you too long. And like I said, I've got my mother-in-law's party on downstairs. And if she's watching right now, happy birthday, Teresa.
Happy birthday.
There you go. Everyone say happy birthday to Teresa. She has been a godsend. She helps me continue to advocate on behalf of our landlords in our community. And we have many more things. We have different meetings coming up with different elected officials. We are looking forward to our next meeting with the Landlord and Tenant Board. But we have to get more landlords like Kathleen sharing your story, sharing your experience. And it's not falling on deaf ears. You're actually helping other landlords grow and warn them what to look out for within our industry. And this is something that we've always wanted to do ever since I started Ontario Landlords Watch, is to make it a very safe community where landlords can help each other. And whenever something's happening on a municipal level or a provincial level, we now have the platform to do it. I do also post on Instagram, and that's why we started our YouTube channel, because I don't want to keep all of our eggs in one basket with Facebook, so that we're not connected, so that we're always connected no matter what happens with Facebook. So I want to be able to answer as many questions as I can for all of our landlords. I try to call as many people as I possibly can and help on an individual level, so everyone knows that if I'm not online, that I'm definitely helping our landlords on Messenger. And Kathleen, if there's anything that I can help you with, you just let me know. Like, I will come down there. I would speak to your people, and I think you have to. I think we have to get you in front of your city, in front of your council down there, so that they can understand that you are one landlord that will never touch their program again, and that you will inform other landlords to not do it until the Residential and Tenancy Act and the Landlord and Tenant Board is there to protect the landlords because we want to help. We really do. But in order to do that, we do need to connect with the elected officials and telling them we need to sit at the table, all levels of government. We need to sit down. We need to talk about what we're affected by, how we think the solution should be, and how they need to work their own government housing in order to meet the demand of, the landlord, the tenant, as well as the taxpayers.
Bless your heart and your mother-in-law's heart for letting you do it and help us, because clearly our system is broken.
It's definitely, and you know what, at least it took us so long with Kathleen Wynne, and we had my MPPs switching out from blue to red, and it was like, it's a struggle. It was an uphill battle trying to get your elected officials, but you know what's going to happen? The election is going to come up. That will bring elected officials out into the community looking to grab what's the most popular topic that they want to see their face and have their name recognition. And then they're going to come out with their lovely statements and their promises and saying that they're going to fix this or fix that. So everyone be prepared. It's like a sheep in wolf's clothing or something like that. So it's like, or you got a fox in the hen house, like be careful which ones are there, just to trust you, because it's all about votes. It's all about politics and playing politics in the housing industry. And that's why we got to tell them, stop it. You know, you're deeming housing to be a human right, but what defines a human right? Food's a human right too, but I don't see myself getting full groceries. I just spent $175 at Costco. Oh my God, the husband was like, he's like, what?
And that was an easy, small day.
I was in there like 5 minutes, man.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
And you probably only had 4 things in your cart.
I went up there for a cake. That's it. A cake. And now it's like, okay, I have to get my monitor later then, because I want to get a monitor so I'm not squinting at the screen anymore. So gotta wait for payday. But you know what? I think it's great that you're able to come on. You have to share your opinion. Everyone needs to know that this is something that we need to buckle down together and keep emailing your elected officials, keep doing the ombudsman, sign up with Landlord Credit Bureau. If you look at $186 to $201 for an application at the Landlord and Tenant Board, you will have that back in itself with being able to report that one tenant or able to help that one tenant and build their credit, because there's so many good tenants out there that do have that shit credit, but they pay their rent every single month. And we want to, and that's why when I talk about changing the system for the good landlords, the good tenants, and the taxpayers, because we do, and that's why I will preach LCB all the way home, because when I found them, I loved them, and I can't talk about them as much as I can, because this is what we need, as well as making sure that you guys are, I know when you have an NDP or a Green or a Liberal, you're like, yo, that our elected official is not going to listen to me. Just do it. CCOLWlandlords@gmail.com. In that email, show me that you're sending it. I can help you respond back, just in case they have a response that you don't want to. And if you have a Facebook group or a podcast or a Zoom, get your elected officials, invite them on. I'm excited to have Helen on ours as well. And Kathleen, God bless you for doing what you did. I would try to do it as well if I have it. You're a good person for trying. You obviously can't help everybody. Not everybody wants to be helped, but we do know that there is solutions around the corner for us to share with our elected officials, and we plan to do that each region at a time. So keep your chin up. Keep going with any type of landlording, because it's still great. We just got to get you managing the good tenants a little bit better and knowing that there is good tenants out there that's going to make this a breeze, and they're going to love you and leave little chocolates at your doorstep. we do have those tenants. We do. They give you wine and they give you gift cards, and you're trying to set them up for success as well. And yeah. we got our good landlords. We have our bad landlords, but sometimes with all the restrictions and the policies and the procedures, sometimes the government's going to make a lot more slum landlords than there are good ones. So yeah, take that for what it's worth, elected officials. I want to thank you, Kathleen, again.
Thank you.
Everyone will try to jump on whenever I can. I can't keep it on a every Wednesday at 7 o'clock type of thing. I come on whenever I can these days, because I got my hands into so many things, but it's all going to be very good for all of us landlords, because there's lots more good things that we have to look forward to. I want to thank everyone tonight for watching. Kathleen, do you have any tips or tricks that you want to tell our landlord before we take off for the night?
No, I'm just thankful you're there, Kayla. Truly am.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Everyone, if you're planning to have your story shared, I will get to you. Just give me an email or a message on Facebook. And until I meet you again on Facebook Live, happy renting.
Thank you.